I'm going to begin this talk by asking you all a question. What do you think of me? How do you look at me? Based on my facial gestures, the clothes I wear, or the fact that this is going to be uploaded somewhere online. Well, you might think that, with my convincing body language, my super loud and confident voice, and my convincing eye contact with every one of you, that I love talking to people and that I am an introvert. I am someone that gets along with other people really easily. However, that itself is not very close to the truth itself. In fact, I actually would be more considered an introvert. But even then, this identity does not quite fit me. It was only because the thing is, I always wanted to feel like I belonged to something more, but I needed to stay true to myself as well, to be the person I always wanted and needed to be. However, I soon learned that I wasn't alone in embracing this identity. I realized that there were so many other people than just me who were experiencing this paradox on a daily basis. This is the dual identity, to be both an insider and an outsider at the very same time. Today, I'm going to share with you my journey of embracing this paradox along with how it has shaped my life. Let's start by looking at the first part of the equation, being an outsider. For me, being an outsider helped me live life and see the world through a different perspective, from feeling things differently, understanding things through a personal lens, and noticing the little details that many others seem to overlook. In fact, these feelings of isolation came to the point that when the COVID pandemic came 5 years ago, and many students like me at the time were forced to self-isolate, I was extremely grateful for this because I no longer had to experience having to be with so many people all at once on a daily basis, but mostly just because I could just sleep a little longer. Now, someone that I think deeply resonates with me on being a former outsider is the musical artist Fiona Apple. Fiona Apple has resonated with so many people like me because of the sheer fact that she expresses ideas of the world that doesn't quite understand her. Her music is raw, emotional, and personal to her. She sings about being misunderstood, and most importantly, she never conforms to anyone's expectations but herself. So the thing is, being an outsider is not just solely defined to exclusion. It's also about seeing the world in a way that other people simply can't. However, as the world returned to normal, the circumstances changed dramatically, and I found my life changing as well. 2 years ago, I came to here, the city of Beijing, half the world away from my home city of Toronto. Now, Toronto for 16 years was the place that I proudly called home, the place where I had comfortably lived. But this was different. Beijing was a completely different environment. Now, it wasn't because I was going to China that was radically changing myself. It was more because of the fact that I realized that critical point that I couldn't exactly stay in my bubble of dots forever. And that's exactly where the insider part of this section takes place, actually. Now, at first, being exposed to a completely different school environment that prioritized the connections with other people flipped me upside down, and I personally struggled a lot to make friends and actually talk to people. It wasn't easy, I must admit, but for me, I was willing to start anew and have something change for once. And eventually, things did. As I became more comfortable with integrating in this school environment, I was able to feel more comfortable with this environment, along with talking with other people. And eventually, I was even able to make some friends and have good memories with them. For the first time, I felt that I was experiencing newfound freedoms that I had never been able to have before. And I was beginning to feel as if I could have experienced a new life. However, the feelings of alienation and isolation began to surface again. Things had changed yet again, but it wasn't just for me, it was for all of us. As my schoolwork became a lot more intensive under the IB diploma, and many students like me, and we all had, actually all of us had to focus more on our schoolwork to get good grades, I personally realized that I wasn't talking to many people as much. And furthermore, adapting to this new life didn't exactly erase the outsider lens I once had. It amplified it. Now, a prime example of this I can relate to here is David Bowie, the ultimate chameleon, who once said, "I always felt like an outsider, but that's what made me an artist." Bowie blended so many genres such as glam rock, jazz, electronic eras, but the thing was, his music felt rebelliously him. Bowie always felt like an outsider, yet he was able to use his own alienation to fuel his own identity. When he was creating personas such as Ziggy Stardust, he wasn't exactly hiding, he was hacking belonging. So then, why is this all so important to us? Because the thing is, our world runs on this sort of cognitive diversity. This isn't just poetic, it's scientifically proven. There have been studies from Harvard Business Review that have proven how teams with outsider thinkers were solving complex problems up to 30% faster. And it doesn't end there. It even applies to the real world itself, with real people. Think of someone like Bjork, who merges glitchy electronica with Icelandic folklore. Or even someone like Einstein, the famously introverted patent clerk, who redefined physics through questioning Newton's once revered laws of gravitation. So then, what have we learned from all of this? Well, I learned that I could be both an outsider and an insider at the same time, or neither. I realized that I didn't need to exactly fit into the binary, and that this was not just a personality, but this was progress. Every time we navigate our dual identities, we're not just surviving, we're trying to expand what we can do. However, the most important thing I learned through all of this, through all of the experiences I've lived through so far, is that there are so many different sides to life that are worth living for. It's nice because, you see, it is nice being with other people at times and having good memories with them. But sometimes it's also just nice to be alone and in your own bubble of thoughts. And that's the thing. So be someone that doesn't exactly conform to what is strictly defined as an outsider or an insider. Just adapt to your own way. Do what you can. And that exactly is what is defined as the insider paradox. Belonging does not mean losing yourself. It just means learning to adapt without losing your core. Thank you.